the office every single day, but it's I guess sad but good that we have the memories that we can share. Tell us a little bit about, because I know the Western Cape is home for you, growing up in Cape Town, and you could see Robben Island at a distance. Did you have any idea growing up who was there and what was going on there?
Oh, absolutely. I come from a very politicized background. And when we were little, we were told, you know, there are political prisoners there. What's a political prisoner? So you begin to ask questions. And people sentenced to chopping rock, you know, chopping rock, chopping stones, and we're not allowed to see them, we're not allowed to visit them, but they are our heroes. So this is the kind of politicized environment that I grew up in. And in later years, I became a journalist. We wanted to find out more about the well-being of the families of the people on the island. And that is, I think, how one gets involved. You're a citizen, you're a, you know, in an oppressed kind of situation, oppressed regime, you're not going to take it lying down. You are going to try and take care of the loved ones, the family of those incarcerated on the island. So I think that is how we got involved, trying to look up the families, trying to find out what there is that we can do, because they suffered as well. Mandela, Malangeni, Sisulu, and all of those people. So that is how we reached out to them.
And I would imagine that you had no idea that one day you were going to meet Madiba. And just tell us a little bit about the first contact, though, that you had with him.
Well, the first contact with him was on the second day of his release. He was released in Cape Town. I was working as a foreign correspondent for German television at the time, and I decided that we are not going to, the team is, I decided the team is not going to go to Cape Town. Impossible to get there. We can get there but not get back. So we stayed here. And on the second day when he arrived at his Orlando, Soweto home, that is where I met him. And I introduced myself and he immediately said, you know, he knew exactly who I was. He referred to the letter that I had sent him. He made reference to how it uplifted his spirits in the darkest days. And in the letter that he wrote a few years earlier, he said that when he's released, he'll take me to his Transkei, his beautiful places in the Transkei. And at that moment, he called the organizing committee. Zulaki Sisulu was heading that committee to say, make sure she's on my plane to the Transkei. This is
what
the
letter
second
had
day.
You sent him, though?
I sent him a letter. I sent him photographs. I sent him photographs years earlier. This is now going back to the 80s for our younger viewers. I went to look up also his first wife, Evelyn Masi, in the Transkei, in Kofi Mbaba. Went to visit her, met Mahato, met the grandchildren, etc. You know, in the spirit and the vein of where does Mandela come from, what is he left behind, and the other political prisoners. And that is where, you know, I took photographs also of the family, but particularly of the graveyard at Kuno, where he's being laid to rest on Sunday. It was in a very dilapidated state. It was in a very broken down state. You know, there were animals walking around, including chickens running around. So I took some photographs at the time, long before digital photography, printed these photographs and attached some chicken feathers also to the photographs and sent it into prison via Winnie. This was intercepted for years. It was kept by the censors you know, in prison authorities. And a few years later, I gave another set of prints to Winnie and I said, put it in your bra or wherever, but make sure that he gets it. So he got these photographs and he sent me a very moving letter. Of course, I was in cloud nine getting a letter from the great statesman at the time, political prisoner #1, incarcerated still, when no one had, very few people had contact, had seen him, knew what he looked like. So for me, it was quite achievement.
And so he remembered you.
He remembered me, and he also made reference to what the photographs meant to him. Some of his most beautiful childhood memories, especially in Mkekazweni, and what it meant to him, what the photographs meant to him. And he says,
come to Transkei with me.
He said, when I'm released, I will take you to my beautiful place. And I thought, this is not possible. This man knows thousands of people. He has his family. He wouldn't remember who I am. So when I met him on the second day, that's exactly, we just tapped in. And I don't know, he's a remarkable memory, a remarkable person. You know, had you know, I don't know. The details he remembered. It's incredible.
So tell us about the visit then to his home.
Well, it was very, very interesting. I was on a plane with him, like a few other people. We landed at Umtata Airport, and he was given, the kaross, the, leopard skin and so on. And he insisted that I'm by his side all the time. So you can imagine me sticking out, not only female, but a kind of a fairer-skinned female. So she's not possibly family. What is she doing there? But he insisted. So I was literally holding his hand and at his side and so on. And he's honored guest at banquets and events that were held in his favor. But for me, most memorable was, the slaughtering of the bull and the ox, that ran and decided to bolt, it ran away, and they had to chase after it, drag it up the hill, slaughter it, roast it, eat it. I'm sorry, with respect to vegetarians. And I was sitting at his feet, once again, his guest, and he took his Swiss penknife and cut me little pieces of his honored meal. I was at the center of it. It was a little uncomfortable. Being the only female, sitting there, not being family, not being royalty.
Amongst these elders.
Amongst the elders, The women were somewhere else.
He fed you, though, didn't he?
Yes, he fed me. He hand-fed me. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
With his knife, he cut the pieces of meat, which is like, cut it smaller and, which
Such
is quite remarkable.
The humility of the man, isn't he? That he always had this thing of making everybody bigger than himself.
Yes.
Even though he was the center of attention.
Yes, but he never forgot. I had many lunches and dinners, private ones, with his family, with him at home, one-on-one with him as well. And there was also always reference made to the time they were in prison, the food they ate, the deprivation. So we're celebrating the man.
We'll talk about his family just now, but just a quick thought about the man himself. What do you remember? Because you saw him in a way that other people probably wouldn't have.
I think he's inwardly very strong and trying to depict that outwardly as well. A man of great principle, so many have said that before. But there were things to spark him off, spark him his anger. And he's... I think what stays with me is his intense dislike of poverty, the pain of poverty. And he said on many occasions and many platforms, the gross inequality of poverty. I mean, that is a huge
So
human
much
rights
to
violation.
talk about. Unfortunately, time is just not on our side, so we're going to have to leave it there. But thank you very much indeed for sharing those precious thoughts and memories, Amina. Thank you.
You're welcome. All the best.